Hi everyone, you're watching Tamit Saleh's Tennis Forum, and in this video we are going to be looking at a very interesting yet kind of rare topic. Can Novak Djokovic be the first man in over 50 years to win the Calendar Slam and in extension the Golden Calendar Slam, something no other player or no other male player has ever done? This is kind of like a two-part series where in this episode I'm going to be looking at the potential of a golden calendar slam for Novak Djokovic, and the second part we'll be looking at live rankings, updates, and the race as well. So yeah, do watch that after this video. Before we begin, as always, if you haven't already, please do subscribe, and as always, let's try and reach that 100 thumbs up, which really helps promote the channel to fellow tennis lovers. So this is on the back of Novak Djokovic winning Wimbledon for the 6th time, and of course that means he has now won the first 3 majors of the year, something that hasn't happened since we had the calendar slam all the way back in 1969 from Rod Laver. What makes this slightly more, let's say, perhaps of an achievement is that he has done it on 3 different surfaces. So back in the days in 1969, 3 of the 4 majors were played on grass. However, of course, in current day, Novak won on a hard court in Australia, clay courts in Paris, and now the grass courts of London. So yeah, we'll do a quick analysis of the final against Berrettini. Going into the match, as we saw with probably the previous 2 Grand Slam finals as well, there was hope in the next gen. Medvedev, there was a lot of talk about Medvedev in Australia. If you remember, he was on the back of something like 22 or 23 consecutive wins, was really the man to beat, and Novak came through that. In the French Open, the final against Tsitsipas, there was a lot of talk about Tsitsipas, that he was probably one of the best players of the clay court season this year, really looking like he's about to motor on, and Novak came through that. And against Berrettini, even before Wimbledon began, I remember even at the back of his French Open loss and the quarterfinals, a lot of people were giving Berrettini a good shot at the Wimbledon title, as you know his game really suits the grass surface more than the clay, and he won Queens, which further gave him, let's say, chances of winning Wimbledon. Myself included, I thought Berrettini would do very well, and it was quite unsurprising that he did reach his first Grand Slam final. And once again against Djokovic, he could not get the victory. He took the first set 7-6, and what I must say is that Novak was 5-2 up. He did look, I don't know if it's nerves or because it is a lot of history. He was going for his 20th Grand Slam to finally, for him, tie both Roger and Rafa. Remember, in his entire career, he's never had the same amount of majors as Roger or Rafa, and he's managed to tie them both really in one go at Wimbledon. So yeah, he ended up losing that first set, even though he was 5-2 up 7 for it, even had a set point. He lost 7-6 on the tiebreak, and you're thinking, is this going to be similar to the French Open? Is Berrettini going to win the first 2 sets? And especially on grass, if you win the first 2 sets, it's more likely that the match is over. On clay, I feel like you can work your way back into the match a little bit. But yeah, Novak really stepped it up. He faltered once again, serving for the set. In the second set, he stormed off to a 4-love lead and then was 5-1 up, double break, lost one of the breaks, made it became from 5-1 to 5-4. And then you're thinking, wow, if he gets broken here again, it's alarm bells. But he held on 6-4, and then the third set, winning 6-4 again. Once again, Berrettini did have his chances. It wasn't all one-way traffic. And then Novak won the fourth set 6-3 with the double break. So my thoughts from the match were that Novak definitely wasn't his best. And I would say for the entire tournament, like Wimbledon, Novak was definitely not at his best. However, he played at a level which was just enough to see him progress. It was the same against Shapovalov in the semi-final and the same against Berrettini. Whilst not at his best, Novak finds a way. And of course, he won his 20th Grand Slam title. And we have this epic scenario where Roger, Rafa, and Novak are all at 20 Grand Slams heading into the US Open. Will someone get their 21st, or will a next gen player or someone stop that from happening? It's going to be probably one of the most coveraged US Open in recent years. so much history on the line. And I mean, this is the case when these big three players always play. It's not just winning one match or one slam. It's always a ton of history on the line. Before we look into the whole Golden Slam, just a few stats for you. That yes, this was Novak's 20th Grand Slam title. It was also his 61st big title, which includes the Grand Slams, World Tour Finals, the Masters 1000s, and the Olympic gold medal in the singles. He has 61, Rafa has 57, and Roger has 54. It was his career 85th career title, three behind Rafa on 88, and Roger is on 103. The record for that is 109. And the way Roger is playing, he's just recently come out and said he won't take part in the Olympics because of some sort of injury. It's hard to see where Roger gets 6 or 7 more titles from, really. So I think Connor's record is probably safe in that regard. Novak also, of course, extends his weeks at number one. This is something we're going to look into the next video. But as of right now, he is on 329 weeks at number one. Already holds the record for that. Second place, Roger on 310. He's more or less guaranteed that number one until the US Open and potentially the year-end title. I mean, if he wins 3 slams and doesn't end the year as number one, then it doesn't look great. However, still could happen. Tsitsipas isn't too far away. A good US Open run, and also some of the Masters could see him leapfrog Novak for the year-end number one. Now, the reason why we are all here, which is the Calendar Slam and the Golden Calendar Slam, actually, and that is winning the Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, the Olympic gold, and in the singles, of course, and the US Open title. Now, fun fact, it has actually been achieved once before, and that was by Steffi Graf in 1988, a female tennis player. So, yeah, never in the men's game has this been achieved. And quite frankly, for me, if Novak wins the Golden Calendar Slam, it would be very hard to argue against his status as the greatest of all time. I think this would be his biggest achievement, biggest record, and really quite a decider. I mean, even if he wins the Calendar Slam, I think it's a big feather in his cap. But can he do it? He's done the first 3. And arguably the hardest leg was, of course, the French Open. We all know how dominant Rafa is at the French Open. So, and I personally think it's Novak's worst surface, clay. Even though he's a very accomplished clay court tennis player, he does well in all surfaces. For me, still, clay is his weakest surface. So yeah, that was the hardest part of the, let's say, 5-leg journey here. And he achieved it. Wimbledon, he was the favorite. And he was the 2-time defending champion going into this. So yeah, he defended it for the 3rd time. So he won his 3rd Wimbledon in a row. And now we have the Tokyo Olympics and the US Open, both on hard courts, both Novak's favorite surface. Now, with the Olympic Games, Novak, after Wimbledon, came out and said he's 50-50 whether he's going to play or not due to the COVID restrictions. Now, me personally, I am 99.9% sure Novak will play. I think he's saying it perhaps to try and maybe loosen the restrictions a bit. I don't know, but when you have so much on the line and this really once in a lifetime opportunity for greatness, achieving something never achieved, I just can't see how Novak doesn't play. And we all know how important the Olympics are to him. We all saw his tears after the 2016 first round loss to Del Potro. So yeah, for me, he definitely plays. He's never going to get this chance again. The next Olympic year is in 2024, and as much as Novak does look after his body, it's hard to see him even being in with a shot of winning that Golden Slam in 2024. So definitely for me, this is his only opportunity to achieve such an amazing feat, something I thought I would never see in my lifetime personally. So yeah, for me, he plays. Now, notable absentees from the Olympics are, of course, Rafa Nadal, Roger Federer, other players like Stan Wawrinka, Dominic Thiem, Nick Kyrgios. But for me personally, I think it doesn't lessen the value of the Olympic gold, whoever wins it. I think players like Medvedev, Tsitsipas, Zverev, the players that are really, let's say, pushing on now, they're all going to be there. So yeah, whoever wins it, well deserved. And for me, Novak, of course, goes into that as a favorite. If you remember, in 2019, he did play the Tokyo Open and win that title there. and for him that was prep work for the 2020 Olympics. Of course, it was rescheduled a year, but he knows how the Tokyo courts play. And someone who is as zoned in, tunnel vision like Novak right now, yeah, you have to say he's the favorite. I mean, it's hard to say he's not the favorite in any tournament, really. But yeah, for me, Olympic gold, definitely, probably Novak's last chance to get that gold medal as well. Of course, the only big title missing from his illustrious CV. Then we look at the US Open. Now, this is a lot more wide open. I believe Rafa is a threat at the US Open. It's his second most successful major. He has won more US Open titles than Novak. He's won 4 US Open titles compared to Novak's 3. So Rafa is a threat there. And then you have your players like Medvedev, Zverev, Tsitsipas, um, perhaps even Dominic Thiem if he can find a way out of this cycle. It's a really tough cycle Dominic Thiem is in, and yeah, he's the defending champion. So I really don't want him to be there injured or really out of form. So, US Open is a lot more open. Novak, of course, it's his third most successful slam, second worst if you're a glass half empty kind of person. He has won only 3 US Open titles, but he's been to 8 finals. So for him, US Open has been a bit of a bogey slam, losing 5 finals against multiple players. He lost to Andy Murray for Andy's first win back in 2012. He lost to Stan in 2016. He lost to Rafa a couple of times and Roger in his first ever final in 2007. So it has been a bit of a mixed bag for Novak. Now, why is that the case? Why is he so successful at Australia and not as successful in the US Open? Well, of course, the courts play differently. The ball bounces, the speed of the court, it's all different. But it's still hardcore, right? So he should do better, I think, personally. It could be due to a factor of being mentally tired, having had a long, like in majority of Novak's years, he's won either Australia or Wimbledon or both, so maybe he's entered it mentally fatigued. But if there was ever a season where he'd be mentally fatigued, I think it'd be this one. But I think he's too zoned in right now for that to happen. Last year, of course, we all know what happened. He got the disqualification for hitting the line judge on the throat. So he's not had, let's say, the best of luck either at the US Open. He got disqualified the previous year. He was injured and withdrew against Stan in the fourth round, a match which probably he was going to lose anyway. So yeah, let's see how that turns out. For me personally, I think if Novak wins the Olympics, the pressure will be on. And I feel like we saw it when he was serving out against Tsitsipas in the French Open, and we saw it against Berrettini pretty much throughout the match. He's not the same Novak, I feel. Now, he's still winning pretty much every match he plays, but the pressure surely will get to him. I think if he's in the final of the US Open, I think he'll be okay, but it's reaching the final, which I think will be the tough bit, especially with all the coverage of this potential calendar Golden Slam. Even if he doesn't win the Olympics, it's still the calendar slam, right? It's first one since 1969, and on 3 different surfaces. So my prediction, it's hard to predict it, but let's go for it. I think for the first time in my lifetime, perhaps even, well, actually for the first time in any of yours lifetimes, actually, I think we'll have the first men player to win the Golden Calendar Slam. Now, that is a bit of a bold prediction, could backfire straight away, but yeah, we'll see how it turns out. Please do let me know what you think. Do you think Novak will win the Calendar Slam? And yes, do stay tuned in for part 2, which will be the live rankings and race. Novak, of course, already qualified for the year-end title, but who can join him? See you then, and as always, please do subscribe if you enjoyed some of the stats and content of the channel, and let's try and hit that 100 thumbs up. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.